Shalom, I'm Rabbi Jonathan Ginsburg of Skokie, Illinois. This is about the portion Vayera. It's very famous because two of the chapters, Genesis 21 and 22, we read on Rosh Hashanah. But it is in the sequence of the Torah reading, you have Breshit, then you have Noah, then Lech Lecha, and then Vayera. It's the fourth portion. And the most famous are just 14 sentences, which are really some of the most famous lines in all of literature, the binding of Isaac. And God tells Isaac, after promising Abraham and Sarah they'd have a son in their old age, and they do, and a great miracle occurs, God then tells Abraham in one of the great tests, he tests Abraham by saying, in Genesis 22, go take this son you love, the only son, the one you love, and take Isaac and go bind him. And two servants go. He doesn't tell his wife Sarah, and it's interesting that Sarah dies in the next portion, never having spoken to Abraham again. And Abraham takes him. And they walk, and according to the Midrash, Abraham and Isaac are not young father and son. Abraham, of course, is a very old man. Isaac is in his 30s, 37 by some accounts. Of course, he's depicted as a little boy, but he's actually a grown man. As they're walking, Isaac says, Dad, I see the wood and the fire and the knife, but I don't see the sacrifice. And Abraham says, we'll go and we'll return. Now, was that hinting that Abraham knew he wasn't going to have to go through with this? Because he said, we'll return? In any case, they get there, and then Abraham ties Isaac up. Now, imagine that scene. And the Midrash depicts Isaac saying, Dad, listen, I know God wants you to do this, and I want you to do what God wants you to do, but I'm a grown man, I'm strong, and I'm going to fight you, actually, against my will when he comes to kill me, so you better bind me tightly. I mean, amazing. The pathos of that story. And Abraham is conflicted between doing what God wants and killing his only son, the one he loves, and then, of course, the angel comes and says, Abraham, stop. Abraham looks and sees a ram caught in the thicket with a horn, and that's one of the reasons we read this story on Rosh Hashanah, besides for its drama and an idea of faith in God, the shofar that was caught in the thicket, and they sacrificed the ram. And then it says that Abraham returns alone. Why? What happened to Isaac? Well, the Midrash says he went off to heaven to study, but interesting that happens. Now, did Abraham fail the test or not? God never speaks to Abraham again. Is it surprising that God said to sacrifice your son? No, because before the Bible, one of the primary ways people thought they should worship God was sacrificing their children. It's called malach worship. The Bible wants to put a stop to that, and so what was surprising was that when the angel said, don't do it, there's a revolution in religion there. God doesn't want you to sacrifice your children in that way. And a very powerful and dramatic story, one of the great tests of Abraham. Now, the Muslims tell the story differently. They tell the story with Ishmael. And of course, we recognize Ishmael as a descendant of Abraham through the concubine Hagar, but Jewish history goes through Abraham to Isaac and Sarah to the next generation. And so we have here the binding of Isaac, the test of faith. It's interesting when you read the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and God tells Abraham he's going to destroy this evil city. Abraham bargains with God and says, how can the judge of all the earth not do justice? Why would you not spare the righteous? But he doesn't argue here about his son. And so some of the rabbis thought he should have argued. One of the tests was he should have argued with God. And so you have both sides in the tradition debating this very beautiful and holy story. What do you think?